The poem that I chose to interpret is The Ballad of the Landlord by Langston Hughes. Landlord, landlord, my roof has sprung a leak. Don't you remember I told you about it way last week? Landlord, landlord, these steps is broken down. When you come up yourself, it's a wonder you don't fall down. $10 you say I owe you? $10 you say is due? Well, that's $10 more and I'll pay you till you fix this house up new. What? You gonna get eviction orders? You gonna cut off my heat? You gonna take my furniture and throw it in the street? Mm-hmm. You talking high and mighty. Talk on till you get through. You ain't gonna be able to say a word if I land my fist on you. Police, police, come and get this man. He's trying to ruin the government and overturn the land. Copper's whistle, patrol bell, arrest. Precinct station, iron cell. Headlines and press. Man threatens landlord, tenant held no bail. Judge gives Negro 90 days in county jail. The way I broke down this poem was I used GIFs for each stanza in which I thought they described the poem as it was. So in this GIF, it says who's managing this. So the tenant, which is the person who is living, is complaining to the landlord that he has a leak in the roof and that his steps are broken down. So I thought this fit perfectly. The GIF that I decided to use right here shows the facial expression of refusal, which indicates the tenant's refusing of paying any extra fees or late fees until everything in his house is fixed and working. This GIF shows someone who is essentially getting bullied and not being treated fairly. So this directs to the poem because the landlord threatens the tenant that he'll cut off all of his heat, he'll throw all of his furniture in the street, and essentially kick him out of his house if he doesn't pay his dues. This GIF here shows the anger and frustration that the tenant faces, and he essentially threatens to punch the landlord in the face because he is being treated unfairly and the landlord isn't making any sense. This GIF here describes the landlord's position and his superiority to easily call the cops on the black male because he is threatened and he takes matters into his own hands to call the cops and get the black male arrested. This GIF right here depicts a black male behind bars and in jail, which relates to the poem because in consequence of the black male threatening the landlord called the cops and he was put into jail because of his actions. In conclusion, this poem, Ballad of the Landlord, tells a story about a tenant who is angry with his landlord because he will not repair his broken house. The main themes of this poem is racism and discrimination of the African American race. After denying to pay his dues, the landlord threatens to kick him out and the tenant fires back at him with violence. This results in the tenant being arrested and being framed as the bad guy in the news. This poem describes the unequal rights and superiority between the black and white race.